what a difference a year makes. And standing up here last year, just trying to keep a few of the signees that had been previously committed to Tech committed and get out on the road and really start making the inroads for the 2020 class. And so 1 year through this process, this 2020 class is 80% or whatever assembled as of today. And just got a few things about this class. 15 high school signees, 3 junior college kids, 1 grad transfer as of now. 5 of these are enrolling in January, here in a month, to start winter training and start classes in the spring. 17 of these signees were 2-sport athletes. 10 of the 17 were 3-sport, so athletes. And then of note is every high school signee that we signed is from the state of Texas, Texas high school kids. It's huge to me. We said, a year ago at this time, also in the press conference, a year and 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, that we said we were going to base our recruiting in West Texas and then expand throughout the state. We've been well received in this state, and our coaches have done a tremendous job of making inroads all over the state. 4 West Texas kids, 4 Metroplex, DFW Metroplex kids, 3 in Central Texas, 2 in Houston, 2 in East Texas, and in terms of all those signees. And the high school coaches have helped us out a bunch. And the relationships that we had previous, and kind of reconnecting over the last year, I think is huge for us and our success here at Texas Tech. We'll always recruit Texas high school kids, and this year, 100% of our kids are Texas high school signees. And, straight line recruiting is a big focus. Joe Martin and Glenn West, they're at the THSCA, have done a tremendous job, I think, promoting this. And just the connection that we have as head coaches and assistant coaches in college to our high school coaches is huge. The evaluation, the character assessments, all the things that we need to know, and being very transparent as we work throughout the whole process is really conducive to having great recruiting classes, not just for Texas Tech, but for all colleges here in this state. And so I commend them for that, and it's a tremendous part of our success here at Texas Tech. So in saying all that, I'll go ahead and open it up for some questions about this class.
Can you confirm which 5 guys are enrolled early?
Yeah. Brandon, Randall, Krishan, Devin, Ethan, and Jalen Polk.
Coach, you could probably go anywhere in America and sell kids on playing D1 college football in the Big 12, but why then is it so important for you to keep kids in your own backyard?
It's huge priority. We signed 4 guys from West Texas. The ones that we identify as the ones that we believe that can truly come in here and play and be developed and help us with our goal is to get to the month of November and compete for a Big 12 championship. Those days are coming, and I truly believe that, and these guys are going to be a huge part of it, these 4 kids that we're signing from West Texas. And we're going to start in our own backyard first and foremost. I think our coaches did a tremendous job of building relationships starting a year ago at this time in December. I remember going out to Amarillo, to Midland, to Wellington, to right here in Lubbock at Friendship High School, and starting those relationships in December. And that's a year's worth of recruiting. Donovan committed fairly early just because of the relationship that we've had with him for a long time. The other 2 over the summer, and then Loic about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and that took a little longer. But just the relationships with the high school coaches and all 4 of those were key. The relationships with many assistants on this staff was a key part of it as well.
Is it coincidental that you have, when it comes to the West Texas guys, you went back to schools like Lee and Wellington, where you already have guys like Trevor and McLean?
I think that's very coincidental. Those are 4 guys that we identified as guys that we thought could come in here and help us, compete to win a championship. And those guys we think are high-level players. A lot of other people thought so too. And you just start establishing relationships and going to work recruiting. And we're always going to grind around here in recruiting. It's part of what we do, recruit and develop. And that's how we're going to build this program, is develop in our locker room in many ways. Nice catch, Don. And then also recruiting. And today's a big day and a big step in that direction.
You mentioned Lowick, the Midland lead receiver. What really stood out to you about him, and where do you kind of see him fitting in your offense?
Yeah, Lowick Fungi is, first of all, a tremendous young man. Mom and dad, what a family. Fabrice is a student here at Tech. He's going to be, the third one in his family to get an engineering degree. Actually, there's another one, 4, from that family. He's been raised the right way. He's 6'4", 195, and he's a sub-22 200-meter kid. I mean, the guy he can play safety. Patterson was just in my office watching some of the highlights from the Taylor show just a little while ago, and he's talking about victory defense with Lowick Fungi and J.J. Sparkman. And victory defense is like the last play of the game where you put your tall wideouts in at the back, and he's like, oh, those two guys are on victory defense. Tremendous athletes. Lowick's a multi-sport athlete, and he will play outside. He'll play the Z, at least to start with. He can play the Z or the X, it doesn't matter, but bright future. And that just goes to show you, that recruiting right there was a year and 2 weeks in terms of recruiting him. One of the first kids we saw when we got the job, as well as a lot of these guys we saw in December. But Lowick, tremendous family, been over here a bunch. High school staff is over here a bunch. Tremendous high school staff led by Coach Hartman. Can't say enough good things about him.
The other receivers, would you project Sparkman or
JJ?
outside and
Absolutely.
Polk?
Polk. Those are all 3 are outside receivers. Miles will play inside slot.
Coach, you mentioned that there with Lowick being a multi-sport athlete, and you made it a point to make that comment in your first opening statement about how many kids you just signed who are multi-sport athletes. If you're talking to players who are maybe going to watch this, who are high school kids in their senior year, contemplating whether or not they're going to run track in the spring, what's the message about what a head coach and a coaching staff at the Division I Power 5 level identifies in a kid that's a multi-sport athlete?
Yeah, we put a lot of stock into multi-sport athletes. Being able to evaluate in other sports. I also think it breeds competitive nature in kids, and the competition I think is huge. Donovan had 16 points last night in a basketball game. LB had 20 last night. Holcomb told me he had 10 and 20 rebounds, but they're still figuring that up at Wellington. I don't think somebody really took into account how many rebounds he had. But, that's just some examples. Kobe Minor's playing basketball. Nate Floyd is playing tremendous basketball right now for A&M Consolidated High School. And those guys are I just think it breeds competition. You gain confidence. It's competitive nature, game day, all those kind of things. That's not to say we'll never recruit a kid that doesn't. Taj Brooks, kind of played some other sports early in his career, but, look at Taj. 20-some touchdowns, 1,800 yards. Maynard goes deep into the playoffs. Another tremendous Texas high school program I have a lot of respect for. And that kid right there, over 3.0, student body leader, president, whatever he is, senior class president, I think, something like that, student council. That kid's going to come in here and have an impact pretty early, I believe, in his career.
Coach, what do you see from Donovan that you like, do you think could fit into the system?
Yeah. Raw talent has really, over the last year, I think Jarrett really improved his accuracy. His fundamentals have become tighter release. Tremendously athletic. I don't think he still knows. His dad jokes all the time about he doesn't know how big he is. He is a big young man, very athletic, fast. Again, another multi-sport guy, track guy. And, I think the sky's the limit for him. Extremely athletic. Basketball, football, basketball, and track, 3-sport.
I believe it's LB Moore, right, that's defensive lineman for his high school team at Tascosa, but you guys are going to use
Yeah, he played D-line. Coach Patterson's going to start him at outside backer. Could eat his way down. He is big. He's a big young man, and one of the forces in that district. A lot of coaches, that had to play him. They've always commented about LB, but there's again another multi-sport guy. Amarillo. It's good to keep an Amarillo kid. I've been told here at Tech, And so we're excited he's going to, be a Red Raider. He's a guy that's grown up wanting to be a Red Raider his whole life and had other opportunities to go other places. And when he gave us his word, he's been very, very loyal.
What did you like about Holcomb, other than?
Holcomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, Holcomb's one of those that when you evaluate in a staff room, you have multiple coaches saying, I'll take him. Keith Patterson would take him at an outside linebacker. Paul Randolph thinks he could eat his way down into being a pass rush and D end. Luke and Coach Yost won't let him go from tight end, so I think the tight end guys are going to win right now. But that's a guy that's a sub 50 second 400-meter guy. Are you kidding me? He can flat run and extremely long, athletic, has his pilot's license. Bet y'all didn't know that. Yeah, y'all did?
You gonna fly with him?
I'm not right now. Yeah.
Who are some of the kids you can see playing from day one as true freshmen?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's a fair question. Here's the biggest thing to playing day one. I think we had 12 true freshmen play this year. I think the biggest key to playing as a true freshman is how quick do you mature in terms of your transition to college, moving away from home, transition to college. As soon as things become simpler in your life and your life slows down, you have a chance to really focus on school and ball and learning a new language, the offense or the defense. Those are the kids that usually are able to use their talents and abilities sooner. I think the 5 that we just mentioned that are coming in January, 1 grad transfer, 3 junior college guys, and 1 high school guy, I think they've got an early start, and I would see all 5 of them, having an impact. Some of them will have an every down impact, I think, very quickly. Every one of those will play, I believe, next year. I think there's some guys this summer, I think, maybe some of the DBs, maybe some of those wideouts can do it. The O-line, they're young O-linemen and potentially developmental a little bit more. Ethan's a year older, and so he's kind of like bringing a redshirt freshman in here, or a true sophomore, if you will, in here. So he's played a little bit at junior college in Coffeyville. Jayhawk League's very good league, same league Krishan played in. So I would see those guys, but I think a lot of our skill guys have a chance to come in and compete if they can learn it. They're certainly talented enough.
You seen Merriweather as an inside guy?
Yes.
He just a tackle machine, or what's he look like?
What does he look like? 6 foot 230. Bowed up, athletic, ran track in high school, jumped. When I say ran track, played track and field. He threw the shot, disc, and high jumped. Very interesting combo. Maybe first time I've seen that combo. Very interesting. But, St. Louis high school product, really good high school coaches. And Garden City, again, another team that they had multiple Division I signees today on that defense. But he's fast. He can chase down ball carriers. He blitzes. He kind of comes in skinny, comes out thick. Does a lot of stuff inside the box that I think will be very conducive to our defense. Him and Randall. Now Randall can play both. Randall could play outside as a rush guy, which he did at Michigan State. He also can play inside. Randall's really smart. Graduated Michigan State 3.5 years. But he's smart in that defense. I think Randall could have a couple multiple spots. But you guys know, it's a broken record a little bit. Those guys are going to be trained at multiple spots. And for their sake as well as our sake when you get in the season. Rico, we played Rico on the line and boundary some and allowed him to rush. Rico's an extremely smart linebacker. And so you want some flexibility with your linebackers.
What technique do you see Devin Drew playing?
He'll be a DN for us. Could bounce in and play a tackle when we get into our overfront, a 3 technique, but he'll be a DN for Paul.
And could you give us kind of a 30-second snippet on each of those defensive backs?
John Davis, we'll start with John. South Oak Cliff will strike you. I think we're going to have to lower his strike zone when he gets here so he doesn't get targeting. He will strike you and then say sorry after that. That guy is a head-hunting kid. He is very physical. Dallas South Oak Cliff. Ryan Frank will probably play spur. Big, longer, 6'3", 190, 195 pounds. Ryan Frank's better days are way ahead of him. Athletic and long. Remember meeting him in December. Met him, or was it in December? We saw him a year ago, so that's been a long recruiting process. Kobe Minor plays both ways, kickoff returner, punt returner. I believe he was the MVP in that district, all-purpose MVP, or all-around MVP in that district for Lake Dallas. Basketball player, really athletic, cover safety type of kid. And then Nate Floyd. Nate's a tall corner. Great year at A&M Consolidated for head coach Lee Fedora. They went deep into the playoffs. I know they wanted to go further, but that's an extremely successful high school program. And, I know Coach Fedora raves about him in terms of his selflessness. He plays both ways. He's in the return game. He's a high-end basketball player. But, just talk great mom. And he talks about the kid's character all the time, about how he'll go play scout team and give him a look. And just he's a tremendous teammate. And I know a big part of their success at A&M Consolidated. That was longer than 30 seconds.
You said Davis being a big hitter, is he more of a safety type?
He's absolutely a safety. Yep.
Coach, do you
Yep.
remember anything about playing against Brandon back in 2018? Or
Yeah.
Or how did you find out about it?
Yeah, just when he got in the portal, the offensive staff at Texas Tech knew him first, and they're like, yeah, that's Randall. Yeah, we had a hard time blocking him. Yeah. We didn't need a whole lot of tape more to evaluate him. Had to bring, our defensive staff and Coach Patterson into the mix with him, but our offensive staff absolutely knew who he was.
So many of the players in this group, though, were recruited by the Power 5 schools. And so for your staff to go compete against some high-level programs and to be able to win that battle, and how good of a feeling is that, just the caliber of kid that you're getting to win that battle?
Well, in turning this program around, Taylor, we're going to have to recruit and develop. And in terms of recruiting, I don't know how you're going to beat teams on the field until you start beating them in recruiting. And now you're not going to do that with every kid, and every kid can be different. And I've got multiple kids in the NFL right now that we coached at Utah State that had one offer. And so I get that. There's times that those things happen, but you got to if you're in competitive recruiting, I think you need to win some of those competitive recruiting battles, and we certainly did. You don't ever win them all. I'm not standing up here saying that, but we won our fair share against some other guys that are on our schedule.
Coach, what position are you trying to hopefully or want to add in the later side?
Yeah, there's several, and we do have several scholarships still open, and you'll see us sign probably more older kids. You'll see us sign junior college, May-outs, or grad transfer potentially now, or grad transfer May-outs, so being in here in June. So there are a few other spots.
Coach, what's the biggest piece of advice you can give, I guess, to a high school kid after they sign that letter of intent? Because it seems like a big build-up process to that point.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not the pinnacle of the mountain today for them. It's part of the process. They're one of the 6.5% in America, seniors, football players that are playing Division I, so congratulations, tip of the hat. If they're a multi-sport guy like we talked about, basketball, baseball, track, go enjoy that. Go be competitive and have a great rest of the senior year. Don't get senioritis, and prepare your mind right now to come in and compete in June. That's kind of been the message all morning to these guys, but enjoy today. And then I think the second part of the message was not only enjoy the day, but make sure that the people around you feel that you're very blessed to have them in your life. And so for many of these kids, so many people behind the scenes, whether it's mom, dad, it's a grandma, it's a high school coach, it's an assistant coach. Many people in these kids' lives sacrifice. They inspire. They instill discipline. They pay fees for Little League baseball, Little League track, the Little League football. They pay athletic fees. So many moms or grandmas or aunties carpooling. All the people that behind the scenes. These kids never get to today by themselves. It's never just by themselves. So many other people involved. So that was the other half of my message, is make sure those people, that you say thank you to those people, and make sure they understand what a big part of their lives that you are, and just be thankful.
Just to reiterate what you said at the beginning, like how did it help just having 12 months to look at the area's talent, as opposed to last year when you were just coming in?
Yeah, it's completely different than last year. It was a lot, and you set up here a year ago, and I'm still trying to learn Texas Tech, what our needs were. We knew what our needs were. Predominantly, most of this class, there's 4 grad transfers / junior college kids, but predominantly the 80% of this total class that we're signing today is high school kids, and 100% of them are Texas high school kids. And so we sat out with that plan in place, and I thought our guys executed it very well. But relationships, high-end recruits like every one of these guys were, with multiple offers like you mentioned, that does take time, and so it does take relationships with high school coaches and parents.
Coach, I guess with this recruiting class, what do you feel were the things you addressed with this class? I know you talked about the grad transfers that could
Yeah.
be in the future, but I guess just what do you kind of feel you plugged in or brought in?
Well, I think, you look at the grad transfers, one being an O-lineman, JC transfers, one being O-lineman. The 2 on defense will be immediate impact guys that'll be right in the rotation, competing for a starting job day one. Brandon Randall, same thing. So that's what you addressed. There's no way you're going to replace Jordan Brooks with one guy. No way. Not that kind of production, not that high-end production. And so, really between those 2 guys and Rico, and you're trying to grow Xavier Benson up, and you're trying to grow Kosai and Tyreek up, and those guys, and continue to develop those guys. Our linebacker core got absolutely strengthened today. I think you see the young skill on offense. Always going to bring in at least a running back and at least a quarterback. Oftentimes we'll bring in 2 running backs, but the 4 guys on the outside, the perimeter, that's as good a class maybe as Tech's had in a long time. In terms of the 3 wideouts, that was absolutely a need. We did it. We addressed it. Joe Filani's a very happy guy today. We've got some young receivers in that room. Eric Ezekama, a bright future. That was from the outside. And so I just think of those outside receivers, you got that addressed pretty quickly. There's still some needs, like we just said. We're still going to bring some guys in throughout the next 5 months.
Hey, Coach, your staff spent so much time on the recruiting trail, meeting with so many people, forging so many relationships. Are there any kind of off-the-cuff stories from this recruiting cycle that you can share with us? Stood out, any kind of funny situation or anything? Interesting meal or something? Meeting in the living room?
And Caleb Rodgers' dad cooked a phenomenal steak. I mean, it would compete with the finest steakhouses here in Lubbock, I can tell you that. Edith Fungi, tremendous feast on Friday, last Friday for Coach Filani and I. I'll give a shout out to her. That was unbelievable. Those are 2 tremendously good meals, and that's not to say the other moms or anybody else can't cook, all right? Because a lot of those visits, we had to visit with them at lunch or at the school because of their schedule, so that sometimes comes into play. Those are just two. I'll just answer that question directly. There's 2 meals that stand out a little bit.
A few other guys that maybe you haven't touched on quite as much, the freshmen or your high school offensive tackles, offensive line. You just mentioned Caleb Rodgers.
Yeah, talked about it both. Talking more about them. Larry Moore's playing for state championship on Saturday. Fort Bend Marshall. A lot of guys signed for Division I. Coach Williams done a great job there. Caleb Rodgers out of Mansfield. Just mentioned the steak at his house. He's been a leader in this class. He's really been one of the guys that's kind of kept everybody together, tremendously loyal. A lot of these guys, Caleb included, Larry included, committed in June, and they have stayed true for 6 months. And told a lot of people no to begin with, and have told a few no as they've gone through the last 6 months.
Of those 3 offensive linemen, do they all project as tackles, or do you
Yeah,
look like
they're all tackles right now. Yeah.
If you kind of summarize J.J. Sparkman.
J.J. Sparkman, 6'5", 210, Longview's finest, Pine Tree High School. JJ got hurt, played through some injuries this year. Long, athletic, high point of ball, great smile, a little bit of a comedian, great mom, great family. I think JJ's got a bright future.
You know, what makes Miles Price so productive? His numbers were.
He can make you myths in a phone booth. That guy had a lot of people recruiting him. He had a lot of people chasing him. Nobody could catch him. Guy can play corner. I think he can play corner for us. Luke won't let him go. He's going to play slot receiver. Coach Smith thinks he could play running back. You see him line up. Coach put him at Wildcat QB in the playoffs. Played Wildcat QB, played running back, played slot, played corner, kickoff returner, punt returner, big smile. Everybody in that school loves him, leader on that team. And again, a guy that when we flipped him this summer has stayed tremendously loyal.
And Derek Lewis, what do you see, inside, outside?
He's inside backer. Yeah, that's the one Coach Patterson chose in this state. We're going to take one high school kid in state and chose him. And you know, Derek pulled the trigger on us this fall. And again, another kid from a very successful high school program in this state. Derek's 6'1", I don't know, 210. His better days are way ahead of him. Hey, when Coach Scholes gets done with him, he'll be 238 pounds. And what an inside linebacker ought to look like. He's got a bright future.
And what does Keith like about him? What made him the guy that you kind of identify?
So productive. Just his athletic abilities change of direction, his productivity.
Coach, you talked about the kids kind of staying loyal in this class, and obviously you guys do a lot of legwork to keep it that way, but how much, I don't know if maybe the kids all have a group me together, how much is it kind of like them pushing each other and saying, hey, let's do this thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. They got group chats, group text, group Snapchats. What else do y'all do? You young guys, where's my young guys in here? You're not young anymore. Huh? What else? That's it? They do a lot of that. You know, back in the day, or not back in the day, but just 10 years ago, I mean, recruits really didn't know each other unless you came on your recruiting visit together or you were at camp, right, together, or you didn't meet everybody until the spring game. That was kind of always the big first reunion was the spring game. And then it was when they get here in June. But, I mean, when these guys come this spring, they'll have seen each other a bunch. From junior days here at Tech to our camps this summer to the big recruiting weekend, huge recruiting weekend we had in June. And then, a lot of those guys came to games this fall. They were on the sidelines together, hanging out, watching our home games here. And then they're in all the social media group stuff together.